everybody. Welcome to a very special Facebook Live Q&A with Nick Usborne. Hi, Nick. I'm so glad you're able to join us today.
Likewise, always a pleasure.
Great. And, you know, we've been having a lot of conversation about the solo agency model. And boy, are people excited about it. It's really the response and the enthusiasm, and the people are already starting and you know, getting lined up and ready to do this is really, really exciting. And we have some questions. So I actually have like note cards of questions because there has been so much enthusiasm. And
You got
pardon?
the real paper. You got paper cards.
Yes, paper. I don't want to miss anything. So I've organized them by topics. So for our listeners, if I don't get to your question, throw it in the chat, and Jade will prompt us to get it answered. But I do have quite a few here, so there is a chance I have your questions answered. But Nick, let's just talk about how this whole idea came about and how this training, because this is the only time you're going to do the training, and it's very specific and very timely. So if you could just talk, just to set the stage for anybody who's just catching up with the conversation.
Well, it used to be quite a barrier between being a freelancer and founding an ad agency. Founding an ad agency involved renting space and paying for space and paying payroll, you know, hiring three, even like a small agency, you're going to have 3, 4, 5 people there.
Right.
That's a big payroll. It's expensive. So
It's as much management as it is writing. It's as much. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, it's a company, right? It's a company with payroll. You're paying salaries. You've got to get the money in every month. I've been there. I've been a small agency founder, and it keeps you up at night trying to make the whole thing work. So the movement from being a freelancer to agency owner is a huge leap. It was a huge leap, and so almost nobody ever did it. They're very, very different worlds. And then it occurred to me as AI became more and more capable, and the tasks it could take on became more and more varied, that I thought, well, hang on a minute. That gap is no longer as wide. That moat is no longer as big as it used to be. I can actually set up as an agency, and I don't need to hire a web developer because I can do coding and design. You know, I don't need to hire a designer. I can do design through AI. I can do coding through AI. I can handle my administration through AI. I can streamline lots of my client acquisition activity through AI. So all of a sudden, I really can step from being a freelancer to being a solo agency owner really very simply. And the costs, the costs in real life are huge. I remember that. That's what kept us up at night. But the costs here are minimal. It's like, what, $20 a month for a plus, a plus subscription for ChatGPT. And in a sense, you're good to go. I mean, you could do this whole thing just with ChatGPT. There are many other tools we'll be looking at and playing around with. But so as soon as I saw that this was viable, I thought, well, hang on, I should map this out so that freelancers can do this, because the benefits are huge. You're getting out of the freelance pool into the agency pool, which immediately changes the industry's perception of you. It changes the client's perception of you. It allows you to do more varied kinds of work. And also, of course, it enables you to charge a great deal more than a freelancer. Companies expect an agency to charge a great deal more. It's just assumed. So yeah, that was it. As I saw that kind of moat get narrower and narrower, and now it's just a little skip and a jump over into solo agency world, I thought, man, I got to share this. This is fantastic.
And we are so glad that you are sharing it, and that you put together a training like only you can do, because you really do take people by the hand and you walk them through all the various steps. We'll get into what the training actually includes, but you are invested in them. You are giving them. You're not gatekeeping anything. You're not leaving anything on the table or behind the curtain. But I do want to clarify. You know, the writers still need to know how to write. They still need to know how to recognize what works and what doesn't. They still need the fundamentals of copywriting. This doesn't eliminate that. It's once you have, this just makes the next step that much quicker, correct?
Absolutely. And that is the part that human judgment, the human creativity, the emotional intelligence, that
Yes.
just being very, very human, that will always be the kind of spark and the magic ingredient.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so I have my first group of questions are about getting started. And
Right.
what would you say is the very first step to transition from freelancer to solo agency owner? Like step one.
I think it sounds like a weird answer, but I think it's the truth. I think step one is you have to believe you can do it. Because like I
Absolutely.
said, 3 or 4 years ago, if I suggested it, I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't believe you could do it because it was a very big step.
Right.
Now, not so much. So I think that's the biggest thing is if you like trust in the process and believe this can happen, I think it very well can happen for you.
Yeah.
So that's a mind game thing. And in my coaching and lots of my training, I talk a lot about mindset because a lot of our
Yeah.
success or otherwise resides
True.
up in here. Do we
Hmm.
believe? Do we believe we can do this? Do we believe we're
Right.
good enough? So that's step one. Yeah.
Okay. Now, if I'm already branded as a freelance, if I already have some momentum as a freelancer, do I have to totally rebrand myself, or is this just a shift I can make within my existing business?
You can do it within your existing business. When we go through the training, I'm going to cover some examples and reasons why you may want to reposition yourself a bit more definitely, so
Okay.
that you are seen as an agency as opposed to you can represent yourself as a freelancer with agency level skills and services, but that's a slightly more complicated image to project. If you're
Right.
going to project yourself as I am an agency, that's easier. But yes, you can just upgrade your freelancer skills. But for myself, I would be drawn to a kind of relaunch, repositioning. It doesn't mean to say you're going to lose your clients. You're going to have the conversation with your clients.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're leaving anything behind. You're certainly not going to leave the clients behind, and you're going to let them know exactly what you're doing, why you're doing it, and the extra benefits and services you'll be providing for them.
Perfect. Perfect. Now, how long would you say it takes to make this transition? Let's say I already have a few clients that have done your training. Then how long of a period would you expect it to take? I don't think very long, right?
It depends on the person. I am, excuse me, I'm a bit of an obsessive executor. So I tend to look at something like this and I'm done I'm done in 2 days. But
Right.
I know that's not quite normal. I just get overexcited and I just leap in and execute.
Right.
And then I worry about all the kind of the final polish and getting things right after that. But let's say let's give ourselves a time period of 30 days. Let's say 30 days
Okay.
to think about it, figure it out, research it, figure out how to execute on it, and then get to publishing. So let's say 30 days. I think
Okay.
that should be doable. And you mentioned a couple of times the existing freelancers and their existing working clients. And of course, we've talked about this opportunity also being available to people who don't have a long history as
And
free.
just start this way.
And yeah, so that's the other question of like, hey Nick, that's all well and good, but what if I don't have all that experience? Can I still make that leap? Can I start off as an agency as opposed to presenting myself as a
Yes.
freelancer?
That was my next
Again,
question.
oh yeah, all right. So the answer to that again is a yes, but again, the barrier to that is, do you believe it? Can you believe it?
Right.
And like I say, 2 years ago, I wouldn't have believed it, but today I would. If you've got if you have the kind of courage to make the leap and say, this sounds like crazy talk, but I'm going to give it a go, then yeah, I think you can. I think you can go from zero to agency. And again, it's only because of what can now be done with artificial intelligence. So someone was talking to me and they say, hey, Nick, if let's say you're starting off and you want to specialize in a particular niche, say it's going to be the agricultural
Mhm.
equipment industry. If you don't have a background in that industry, how can you even be credible? And again, I come back to AI and the collaboration that you can develop with these models. I would, well, first of all, I would try, I think, to choose a niche, and we can come back to the niches, but I'd try to choose a niche where I did have some background. But let's say I
Sure.
don't. I'm just going to go into ChatGPT and I said, look, I need to do a little brainstorming here. I am going to set up this agency, this solo agency serving agricultural machinery. I know I've got a little bit of knowledge about it, but not much. If I get into conversation with a prospective client, like the chief marketing officer of one of these companies, what are the terms, the phrases, the languages that they may bring up that I'm not familiar with? Please list them. Give me a glossary. What are the pain points in that industry? What problems do they need solving? So I'm going to go to these models and I'm going to use them to really set me up. So, and again,
Get
it's
educated.
crazy, but if I do that thoroughly, if I research the agricultural equipment market and I research what are the pain points, and I research what's the language, what are the terms I need to be familiar with, I could actually be in better shape than a competitor who's been serving the industry for a couple of years, because I can get amazing depth. These
Yeah.
models that basically they've scraped everything off the internet. So they basically know on every topic, they know more than any human can possibly hold in their mind.
Right.
So they're incredibly powerful collaborators. And if you use them well, they give you a huge advantage.
Good. All right. Can I start solo agency part-time while keeping current clients? I think we've talked about that, but again, I think once you decide to make the leap, you're just in the agency and you move your clients in there.
Make the leap and invite your clients to come along for the ride, because they're going to be better served as well.
And so I think something that's kind of at the core of what could be holding people back or making, if they have some doubts, and it's like, how, as a solo person who, might not have all that much experience yet, can I deliver agency level results as just this one person, as just myself?
Yeah. It is kind of, in a very real sense, it's not just you anymore.
Exactly. You have your
In a
committee,
very
you
real
have
sense, you are. So when
your conference table.
I started out in physical advertising agencies in London, in the UK. So I sat at a large square table, and I sat on one side, and on the other side was the art director, the designer, and we worked together as partners for years. And I was very fortunate. He was a kind of generation older than me and very, very talented, and he taught me a lot. And that's how I was used to working, like face to face with someone. And there would be other people. We'd call the media person in, we'd call the production person in,
Mhm.
the account executive person, the account team would bring them in, and we'd be in conversation. So you were never like working alone. As a freelancer, all of a sudden, it was a lot more solitary. But
Right.
now I feel sometimes it's almost like the olden days. It's like I sometimes I'm sitting there and I do feel like I have this partnership. I'm collaborating with AIs that bring those skills to the table, whether it's strategy, whether it's design, whether it's development, whether it's workflow management, which is something that
Mhm.
freelancers often don't think about too much, but agencies
Right.
certainly do. So yeah, in a very real sense, I don't feel like I'm working alone anymore. And sometimes I have to hold myself back from kind of anthropomorphizing, because I almost feel like I'm in conversation with a very smart person, which of course
Right.
I'm not. But sometimes it feels that way.
Right, right, right. Well, and again, I think you don't necessarily say I'm a one-man agency. You're just an agency, and the tools that you have to help you deliver the product. Really, the client just cares about the final product. So as
Right.
long as it's meeting the readers where they are, it delivers on what the promises are, and it connects in a way that's engaging and exciting for the reader. That's really all the client's going to care about.
Uh, and I would, in presenting like myself as the agency owner, I'm not going to jump up and say, "Hey, it's just me."
Right.
That's if a client says, "Hey, how many are you?" I'm going to be
Yeah.
transparent about it. And I say, "Hey,
Right.
it's just me," but it's not really just me. It's me plus the smartest possible partners in the world all
Right.
around.
Right.
So yeah, it's not going to be part of my pitch that it's just me, but like with everything else with the AI, I think it's important to be transparent in how you're working with it
Yes.
and what you're doing with it. And some companies will say, oh, so basically you use a lot of AI. And I'm going to say, yes, I do. And they say, well, we don't like that. And then I'm going to say, well, I guess we're not a good match then, because that's how I
Exactly.
do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No,
come back in a
transparency
couple of years when you figured it out.
is key in all of this, All right, so let's get to some business strategy questions. First one, so how would someone go about pricing solo agency services, that's a little tongue twister for me, when there's no established market rate?
Well, there's a bit of an assumption that there's no market rate. There's generally the market is
Yeah.
there may be an upper and a lower, but the market has a general idea. So this is about the difference between freelance rates and the agency.
Yeah, right. How would somebody know how to make their pricing?
All right. So it's not like I'm a freelancer and I'm going to do newsletters for you once a month and I'm going to charge X. And then, hey, I'm an agency now, I'm going to charge you 2 or 3 times as much for the same thing.
Right.
What agencies do is they tend to present their offerings differently. So as a freelancer, I might say, hey, okay, I will write this newsletter once a month. An agency is more likely to say, okay, we have a proposal for a newsletter communication package for you. And that package will include industry research, audience research, gathering together data, going through that, publishing, testing. So there are all these, now we have all these separate line items that an agency will charge for. So let's say you were going to charge $400 for each issue of the newsletter. The agency is going to come back with all of these line items, and then now they're going to be charging what? Well, let's just say 3 or 4 times that. Let's say 4 times that. So $1,600, which is very low for an agency. You'd probably charge more.
Yeah.
So you're not just charging more for the same thing. You are, and we talk about this. We have a whole session of this in the training of creating agency packages. And when you create a package with separate line items, all of a sudden now it is just totally reasonable that you charge more than a freelancer would. Freelancers tend to do individual items. Yes, I'll write that social media post. Yes, I'll write that landing page. Yes, all right. Whereas agencies tend to have clients on a monthly basis. It's not just kind of one-off. And they tend to offer more services in depth. And those extra services are where we're going to turn to AI and say, hey, and we need some research on this. We need an audience analysis on this. I want a kind of workflow laid out for this. So some of it is real extra value. Some of it is the perception of value. And the perception of value is incredibly powerful. It's sometimes more valuable than real value.
Right. Yes.
Like the difference between me getting a Quartz watch for $10 and a Rolex watch for $10,000. They both tell the time. Actually, the Quartz watch is more accurate than the Rolex, just by definition. But we're happy to pay 1,000 times more for the Rolex because it's a Rolex. It's perception of value. It's not real value.
And I do think with agencies, there is just that baked in understanding that the scope is bigger, that it's more, that there's more involved. And again, when you're using these AIs, it's not just like they're doing it, you're having the AI do it and you're running it over. You're passing it through your filters, you're passing it through your experience and your training and all of that. Again, just to be transparent as far as how the work is actually divided. AI just gets you, 80% of the way, 90% of the way, and then it's up to you to do the rest of that.
And sometimes it can, hey, it's dealing with real people. Sometimes it can be frustrating. Before this call, I was trying to get AI to do something for me. And it's like, it's just not having a bad day. It's just like really weird. No, that's not what I asked for. So it's a bit like people.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's some bad days. But the other thing I find remarkable is that, a week or so back, I needed to write a white paper. I don't do white papers. I don't write white papers. And I asked GPT-5, one of the first days it was out. I said, hey, I need this white paper. And I gave it all the information and background. And I read it. And man, it was so good. So good. And all of a sudden, you created something of enormous value. And it's almost like out of thin air.
Right.
Sometimes it's easy. Sometimes you struggle a bit. But it's like working with people.
Exactly. There's no easy buttons. This just gives you more opportunity, more breadth, and I think just a level of professionalism that helps, that goes such a long way. Should somebody focus on one niche, or can solo agencies work across industries? What's your feeling on that?
I encourage a niche because it's a kind of specialization, but so that you can establish yourself as an authority.
Mm-hmm.
There are two ways to do this. One I call like vertical niche, where you're doing it by industry. You know, I'm going to do healthcare, I'm going to do general aviation, I'm going to do leisure and stuff like that. So that's an industry niche. Another one is I'm going to niche by specialty. I specialize in B2B case studies. I specialize in social media. I specialize in sales funnels. And of course, you can actually double down on that niche. You can say, I do social media for healthcare companies.
Right.
So you got a vertical and a horizontal niche. But one way or another, what you don't want to do is say, hey, I do everything.
Right.
I mean, even big ad agencies with hundreds or agency groups with thousands of employees generally specialize in niche to some degree. Like, we do packaged goods.
Right.
We do heavy industry, that kind of thing. And as individuals, it's important that we do, because even with AI, I can believe that you are an expert, a specialist in social media, in healthcare. I'm going to
Right.
find it much harder to believe that you're an absolute expert at
In
everything
everything.
across all
Right.
industries. Yeah.
Good. Okay, that's great. I'm moving on to some AI implementation questions. So, as a solo agency owner, which AI tools are absolutely essential and which are nice to have? I know you said we could do it just with Chat GPT, but what's your tech stack, or who's all around your table?
It's exactly the right. Yeah, tech stack is exactly right. It is a smaller stack than you think. So there are frontier models like ChatGPT, like Gemini, like Claude, basically there are kind of five principal players on the frontier model. Then there are hundreds, if not thousands by now, of other players in the market. Many of them using one of those five tools in the background. So in terms of essential, I'm trying to think through the training. Some I use ChatGPT. I use Gemini for research, and we go into that. I'm going to do a demo of deep research with Gemini.
Yeah, that's
I use Claude sometimes as a kind of third-party editor,
mm-hmm.
and those are my principal three.
Okay.
Now, sometimes I need something a little different. So if I'm going to, if I want to create a prototype, which again, this is just insane because it's something I just could not do before. I'm not a designer. I'm not a developer. I can't build web pages and design them. But I can go to a vibe coding platform like Lovable,
Mm-hmm.
and I can just in text describe them. Describe, hey, here's what I want. Here's the website homepage I want to build. Here's what it's about. Here's the kind of look and feel I'm going for. Please give me a first shot at it, and it does. I go away, pour myself a cup of coffee, come back, and I have a homepage designed with copy on it. And it's
Right.
like, man, this is just insane. It not only do I have a developer and a designer on hand, but instead of having to wait a week for it and argue with people,
Right.
just
Right.
pour myself a cup of coffee and it's back. Now, is it perfect every time? No, it's not. And we go through this step by step in the training. So there are different vibe coding platforms. Another one I use is called Bolt. There's one I just found this morning. I haven't tried. It's called VO. Um, and there's VO3 from Google that does video, 8-second video so text to video. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're doing social media as a specialty and you're doing lots of TikTok and stuff, then you can use video creation tools. So I think there's the frontier models like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, stuff like that, XAI from Mr. Musk. Um, and then there are these specialty models like
Yeah.
for vibe coding and video production and voice production and things like that.
And
but you don't need a ton.
right.
You don't need to pay a
And
huge
you
amount.
don't need to know how to use them all right now. You need to know how to use those core 1, 2, 3
Right.
to really get started. And then as the situation comes up and you're more comfortable and you're more experienced, then I think these just fall into place naturally. You just naturally look for them, find them, and use them.
So a nice shortcut for everyone. Let's say you settle on ChatGPT, and you want to do a prototype or a website homepage or something like that. And you think, oh man, I don't know how to talk to Lovable. I don't know how to. So you just go to ChatGPT, where
And
you've
it
probably
helps
got
you.
some experience with that project anyway. Say, hey, you know this project? I want to do a prototype. I want to do a website homepage. Please write the perfect
Wow.
instruction for Lovable.
Yeah,
So
that's nice.
you're at home, like ChatGPT, your basic collaborator there, will actually write a prompt that is perfectly aligned with the platform like Lovable.
Yeah.
So I don't have to figure out how to write for Lovable. I just ask ChatGPT to write me the prompt for Lovable, and then I copy and paste it in.
And then you work on the output and
Yeah,
and go through, change
and
this,
the
make
thing,
this a little bigger, that a little smaller, whatever it is based on your
yeah. So,
feel.
so
And
I don't know whether we have a question about like the technical challenge here. Do we have a
oh
technical
yes,
challenge?
what if I'm not naturally tech savvy?
All right. So I love this question because it's a really good question. But man, the answer is weird because hey, I teach digital copywriting, and part of the digital copywriting program that I teach is all about SEO, search engine optimization,
Right.
and some of the tools there. That's a real kind of steep learning curve. It's really you can get really technical doing SEO. It's hard work. Like when I teach that session, I can feel people kind of sweating at the other end
Right.
because if you're not familiar with it, it's a lot. With this, the result, the kind of output is so sophisticated, but you're just typing.
Right.
You're not having to understand anything. You don't have to understand anything about how it works in the background.
Right.
It's in a sense the least technical thing you have to do. And if you don't like typing, with each of these models, you can talk to it. I was out cycling a couple of weeks ago, and I had this idea, as I often do when I'm in motion on my bicycle. And I stopped and I sat on a rock by the side of the path. And I just took out my phone and I went into voice mode on ChatGPT, and I had a conversation for about
Oh, I
half
wish
an
we
hour.
had a picture of that. That would be
And,
great.
and I had it do some stuff and execute some stuff just on my phone while I was like that. So I'm not typing because I hate typing on my phone. I'm just talking to it like
Yeah.
a collaborator. And when I got home, I could open up the same session on my laptop.
Hmm.
And it was the work of I don't know how long, like human work. It would probably have taken like weeks to do it.
Right.
So you can have these crazy ideas that you can. There used to be this barrier to having fun ideas and interesting ideas because it took up too much time. It was too expensive to play around with ideas unless it was kind of on point. Now, because this is so easy and so fast and inexpensive, I can play around with all kinds of for my clients and for myself and for my clients. I can do all this brainstorming stuff and come up with this amazing group. So I can go to a client and say, hey, look, how long have we got today? Because I got 5 ideas for you. All right. And I got 5 because ChatGPT did all 5 of them for me within a 20-minute period.
Right. Right. No, that's awesome. And I just wanted to, so the tech savvy part, that you don't have to worry about that. And
Ah,
it really is just getting comfortable with the give and the give and take between the AI that you're using, and asking it to refine and asking it to, like, no, that's not what I meant. This is what I mean. And
and so to learn how to use it, just play. Just go and
yeah.
play. Just and it can be personal stuff. It can be what is this? Hey, my family's nuts on it. It drives me crazy. It used to be, yeah, honey, but the internet says now it's okay. What you say, but ChatGPT says, and I'm like,
Right.
so you can play around with it, just in your personal life, your business life. Just practice getting into conversation.
And
And
this training is going to be very hands-on. You're going to be
yeah, yeah,
using all of these things, showing these different how you use the different chats to get the different results that you want, right?
Definitely. I'm actually going to be building an agency of my own as we go along. So I'm along, I'm following along for the ride. I'm showing you what I'm doing to build my agency.
That's awesome. And everybody can just follow right along. And, there's going to be Q&A after every session. There's going to be a Facebook group where if you have questions in between, I see somebody was asking, if they're not able to join the live sessions, yes, you can definitely listen to the recordings and then ask questions in the Facebook group or reach out to
So
us.
I show tons of examples during the presentation because I'm a kind of fairly visual presenter. But also there'll be 5 times I'm going to do like a live demo. So the first session, I'm going to do a live demo showing you how to build a custom GPT, which is incredibly powerful, very easy to do.
Yeah.
That is going to be great because you're going to be able to watch me humiliate myself. I'm the world's worst typist. So I'm going to have to do some live typing. I've been making my living as a writer for 45 years, and I'm a 2-finger typist, and I'm really, really bad, like incredibly inaccurate. So yeah, you'll be able to laugh at me while I go through my demos. But yeah, I'm gonna this important stuff like the custom GPT, like using vibe coding with Lovable. I'm gonna do live demos and show you how to do that.
Oh, that's going to be priceless. And you'll have the recording so you can go back and visit it. But to actually see somebody doing these, because it is a little ethereal, or it does, if you haven't actually gotten your hands in there and gotten dirty, it does seem a little, just hard to comprehend. But seeing it happen in real time is such a powerful way to learn. My last set, and I see we do have a few questions from our listeners as well, but I want to just get through, these are, we started with this and mindset and positioning. How do I overcome imposter syndrome when positioning myself at this level as an agency? And I know you said it's just believing that you can do it, but is there anything else that you would add to that?
A couple of things, and I mentioned this in another conversation, is that in terms of that kind of imposter syndrome thing, you got to learn to embrace that. I still have it. I still have imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I have to actually remind myself sometimes that I have a record of doing this well. Somewhere in a cupboard somewhere, I've got a box and it's got like 15 different copywriting awards in there.
Right.
I've earned over the years, results based. And I forget that sometimes. And I think, man, am I good enough? Am I up to this? Am I just kidding people? So that imposter syndrome, that lack of kind of certainty, that's kind of always there. It's part of the landscape. So partly it's just a mindset thing of getting past that. The other thing is, like, really and truly, if you think about this, if I am using these models, let's say ChatGPT, actually, I'm just hiring a person. And I couldn't, because ChatGPT is more knowledgeable than any person.
Yeah. Right.
Let's say I hire a media director. ChatGPT knows more than any individual media director on the planet.
Right.
All right. It's faster, it's cheaper, it's more knowledgeable. So you can absolutely, like, if I set up today as a boutique agency with 4 or 5 of us on payroll, and I looked at the capabilities of my team, and they'd be great. They'd be smart. They'd be smart people, but none of them would be as knowledgeable
Right.
as these models. Now, they might be more creative, more playful. We might come up with some crazy ideas that ChatGPT wouldn't come up with. But I think it's the fact that you have such extraordinary power at your fingertips when you use AI, and
Right.
it's hard to we take everything for granted so quickly. Before November 2022, no one really had used in the public had used ChatGPT.
Right.
That first day that you used this thing, it was like mind blown. My goodness, this thing writes.
Right.
And then all of a sudden we take it for granted. Well, of course it writes. It's an AI.
Right.
And I find it the same today. When I look at vibe coding, the fact that I can prototype a web page, it could be a landing page, it could be a home page, it could be a newsletter design. I can vibe code that within minutes. I don't have to hire a developer. I don't have to hire a designer. That's extraordinary power.
Right.
So you just, again, you switch the mindset. No, I'm not competing with agencies that have lots of people. I'm not saying I'm an equivalent to that. I'm saying I'm building something here that, because of the rise of AI, is extraordinarily capable. And I am at the helm. I will provide the human judgment, the creative spark. But between us, yes, we can serve you. And yes, we're going to charge you more than I would if I were just a freelancer before AI. And no, I'm not going to charge you as much as the real person big agencies, because I don't have that kind of payroll to worry
Right.
about. So we're going to pricing, we're going to be in the sweet spot. We could typically be charging, 2 or 3 times what we do as a freelancer, but we're not going to be charging 10, 50 times like a traditional agency. So it is a very, very viable sweet spot that the
Right.
companies are going to find very attractive, because they can get agency level input, but at a lower price for them.
And my last question, what's the biggest mistake writers can make when trying to do this?
I think getting stuck in the mindset that it's about writing. So I still find conversations on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter
Mm-hmm.
with copywriters arguing about whether these models are any good at writing or copywriting.
Right.
That's not the conversation, because they're getting better and better. And they may not be as good as you today, but maybe they will be in a few months. It's not these models as writers that you should be using them for. It's all the other stuff.
It's the
It's the
other stuff.
workflow, it's the
Yes.
research, it's the analysis, it's the please give me an ideal customer profile avatar for this product.
Right.
Like me on my own to do that, it's a huge job.
Right.
Using these models, it can be like a 5-minute job.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did I
So,
answer- I've forgotten the question. Did I answer the
yeah, I
question?
know. What's the mistake people, writers might make
Yeah,
when trying to implement this?
that's right. So, well, first of
Maybe
all,
not doing it.
don't think it's just about writing. It's you're still the writer. You may
Yeah.
ask it to do an outline for you. You could even ask it to do a draft. It's very unusual that I will ask these models to do a draft of writing and that I'm totally satisfied. I mentioned a white paper. That was an exception. That
Right.
was just like almost perfect out of the gate. Most of the time, I have to go back in and edit, and then I think at some point, man, I should have just written this myself. So I don't use it much for original writing. I'll get it to do the research. I'll get it to come up with ideas, ideation. I might even get it to do a first draft, which I'll put to one side as kind of a reference. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes in that first draft, I'll go, that's interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that. And
Yeah.
again, that's a superpower in itself. So I'm a very experienced copywriter, but every day I will have that moment with AI where it's like, huh, I
Hmm.
hadn't thought of that. And a lot of people say, yeah, but these things, they're not creative. I'm working on a new project right now where I had the original spark. I had the original, like the whole business, the whole thing that I'm building was based on one prompt. And what I
Right.
did, one of my typical things of like, hey, at the intersection of A and B, where A and B are really quite different things, play around. I said, play around with that thought. What happens at the intersection of A and B? And it did. And this project was born from that. And it created the logo, which I think is very creative. It created the name for the project, which I would never have thought of. It's super creative. So again, don't get that huffing and puffing human thing of like, yeah, but it's not a real person. It can't write properly. It's not creative. It
Right.
can be. It can be. And if it's not being creative, it's probably a failure of prompting.
Right.
That's probably our fault, not their fault.
Right, right, right. And again, it's if you guys are doing any training with AWAI, if you have the understanding of what makes persuasive writing work, you use that filter, you use that lens to challenge it and make it better and to help you take it home, take it to the final across the line for your
Yeah,
clients.
let me just add, like I come over as a complete fanboy for AI because I am, but one area where I find it weak is exactly that. Is I would never get it to write me a sales page. I've tried it a few times and I've given it examples of my own best sales pages.
Right.
I've frameworks to work with for sales pages. Never, it just doesn't quite get it yet.
Yeah.
So persuasive sales pages, it's not there yet. but it's all right. It's great at the 90% of the other things. So
and it helps you spark that idea. Oh, I might not have
yeah,
thought of that, or
yeah,
this position.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I love that connection of here's this and that. What's the thing in common, or what's the intersection? I love asking that
Right.
question because, you know,
And it's
where that
really
takes you.
it's that playfulness when you collaborate.
Yeah.
Instead of just being the boss, say, "Hey, do this." I
Right.
quite like I'm halfway through something, and I say, "Hey, what do you think? Is this good, or am I moving us in the wrong direction?" It'll come back, and
Yeah.
it'll say, "Oh, good question." That's another thing. They are trained to praise you. "Oh, Nick, that's such a good," which is kind of fine when you're feeling down, but it's a little annoying after a while. A
Yeah.
little sycophantic. So what I do is if I have a serious question, like the answer is important to me, I'm gonna base a business decision on it. I will ask the question, then I'll say, "Please be when answering, please be objective and brutally honest."
Yeah.
And then it's like, "All right." It comes
Gloves are off.
I have an example of this in the training where I asked it, and then I said, "Hang on, be brutally," and when he came back, he said, "Okay, good idea, but there are a few significant problems." So
Good.
you always have to ask it, "Hey, look, be objective here. Be brutally honest with me on this."
Yeah. I love that.
I don't Yeah,
And if you want to learn more about the training, you can go to the link that you see at the bottom of your screen, awai.com/learn from Nick. But Nick, so do we have 5 weeks of this of time with you,
5
or
weeks. It's twice a week for 5 weeks. It's 10 sessions.
so tell me where I'm going to start and where I'm going to end up.
Uh, we're gonna start off with just basically in session 1, I just wanted to make it fun. I've got, like, kind of 5 things that'll kind of blow your mind. This is the kind of things AI can do for
Uh-huh.
you when you're building an agency. We're gonna go through the use of the tools, like you say, the tech stack, things it can do, the creative side. A good part of the whole program is also looking at the practical aspects of building an agency.
Good.
Like
Good.
like what about the paperwork? What
Right.
about the business structure? How do I structure a business like this? What do I do? What do I have to do? How do I launch this? Like if I'm going to build out a new agency, what's my launch strategy? How am I going to prepare for launch? How am I going to prepare my list of prospects? How am I going to reach out? Can I use AI in prospecting? Oh, yes, you can.
Right.
So we're
Absolutely, you
we're gonna
can.
use AI everywhere. Uh, so there's kind of pre-launch packages, and again, I'll be building this. I'll show you how I'm doing it for this my own agency idea. Here's the package I'm going to build. Here's the homepage. Here's all the different assets I'm going to put in place. Here's how I'm going to reach out to prospective clients. Here's how I'm going to manage those inquiries. Here's the paperwork that I need as a professional, like I said, and here's my kind of business structure and my workflow. So yeah, it's how to do it from a creative point of view, but also how to do it from a practical point of view. How do you
Practical. I
actually
love that.
build an agency?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. The logistics, the practicality, and the fun, and bringing some fun into it as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so check out that letter if you haven't yet. I have to tell you, I don't remember having as big and as positive a response to a new training. Um, this really, you're going to have a very enthusiastic and engaged group doing this with you. And honestly, we're going to be looking for, case studies. We're going to be looking for success stories we're proving this as well as we're doing this. So we are going to be in there. We're going to be looking, we're going to promote your agencies. We're going to help in any way that we can as well. But this is like a very exciting test case for us. And just based on the feedback and the enthusiasm and everything, we're so excited about it. And we're all in to help everybody be as successful as possible. Okay, we do have a few questions. I think we may have gotten to some of them, but let's see. Paul is asking, okay, he doesn't have any portfolio to show clients as he's new. how big of a issue is that when you're starting an agency? I mean, you can just create your own samples. They don't have to be.
First of all, like, I feel you, because we've all been there. Like, everyone
Right.
who started off with zero. And again, one of the wonderful things here is you can go to a neighborhood business, like a local coffee shop, whatever it is, and say, hey, I want to create some marketing materials for you for free.
Yeah.
And if you love it, I want you to write me a testimonial. And now I can do that. I can go and take some pictures of the coffee place. I can go back and I can work with ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm going to do all this material. I want to do some 10 cards for them. I want to do some social media for them. I want to do some, and it's going to be quick and easy. And you're going to get the prototypes done through vibe coding. And you show that.
Yeah.
Here's some work I did for a local company. Or if it's for, again, if it's farm equipment and it's not, you can't exactly kind of walk down, to wherever it is John Deere is headquartered for the photographs. Again, just work with ChatGPT, create some material for even an imaginary company. And you say, look, here's some material that I put together for
Right.
for the industry.
And again, you're not saying that these mailed or any of that, but it's just showing that you can do that. And again, from my experience, for the writers that I've hired over my almost 30 years here, it's really not about their past work. It's about the ideas that they bring to the table and what the plan is and what the scope is. So I don't let that hold you back, Paul. There are definitely ways around that. And, you can create samples for all of the different project types you want to specialize in. So that I think we've got you covered there. Renzi is.
For what it's worth, Paul, I've never, I don't have a freelance copywriting website anymore because I kind of moved on. I do mostly training now. But when I did, I have never had a samples page. I've just said, hey, here's and here's my blog posts, and read about it. And here is like I've talked about the clients. Sometimes down the right-hand column, I've said, hey, here are clients I've worked with, but I've never actually had a samples page. And it's never been a problem. It's never been.
The reality as the client, I don't know how much you actually wrote it yourself. I don't know how much support there was, how much back and forth. I know, when we work with writers, there's a lot of collaboration and back and forth, and sometimes it's 5, 6, 7 drafts. So it's just not that important. I think well, like Nick says, he's never even had a sample page. So again, I think that's something that you might be putting up as an obstacle when it's really not. But if it is something you feel strongly about, we have ways to help you with that. We did touch on this, but I just want to make sure Simon heard it. He's not available during the class times, but he's just wondering if he'll be able to follow along viewing the sessions afterwards. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. And like I said, there is going to be a Facebook group, and you could always reach out to us if you have any kind of questions. Rachel, again, I know you're going to cover this in the training. She's asking if this involves a slight rebrand, as just mentioned, can we still use our website logo LLC that's already established?
You can definitely use the LLC you've established. Whether you want to still keep the logo and the same. You might
want to change that. Yeah.
It depends. Like we said at the beginning, you can become a super powered freelancer. This is just me. Myself, if I were doing this right now, I would probably rebrand with a new URL, business name, website, because then I can really present myself as a high value, solo agency.
Good. Ramsey's asking, will your course include setting up AI agents to do the repetitive tasks?
We won't be getting a lot into agents, and that's the funny thing about this program is that I just finished putting together the decks, and I know that before each week I'm going to have to go back in and update various things.
That's the way things change.
Everyone's calling everything an agent these days, and there are definitely some agents out there. So an agent basically it's an AI that doesn't need you to give it individual instructions. You can say, book me a vacation in Cancun. I want to go in February. So and I don't want to pay too much for the hotel. So an agent will go off and it will go to various websites and it will review them and it'll come back and it'll find exactly what you want. And then it'll come back and say, hey, Nick, I found this room and here's the dates, here's the rate, here's the pictures. Are we good to go? And I say, yeah, book it. And then it goes away, it gets my credit card, it puts it in. So that's an agentic flow of where it is independently doing something on your behalf. A lot of processes people are calling agentic at the moment are actually not. It's just repetitive tasks.
More
that you're asking.
systems. Yeah.
But in terms of true agentic AI, it's not something that I cover so far. Hey, we got, what do we got? We got 5 weeks to go. We get to the end of 5 weeks, maybe I'll speak something in there.
Okay.
But it's certainly a big deal. A lot of companies are really interested in that, of kind of autonomous agentic agents going through entire processes independently. It has some problems associated with it. It's like, do I want to give my credit card information to an agent or a company? Do I want to give this agent access to our customer database?
Right.
Do I? Legal is going to go nuts when they hear you want to do that.
Right.
So there's lots of hurdles as well when you giving these systems autonomy and giving them too much independence. But we're getting there. It's a very interesting, lively discussion right now.
Okay. Leah's question is, does AI just do the website mock-up prototypes where you would send the client the image, but then the client still needs a developer, or is it able to write the code and you can plug it in and have it set up and run for the client?
A bit of both. What I do at the moment is actually, and I'm exploring a new platform later on today. At the moment, I'm saying use it as a prototype, give it to the client for their development team to build out the back end. Now, a lot of these tools like Bolt, like Lovable, you can attach to a back end. You can host a website. You can go through the whole thing. And I've gone through that process a number of times on a number of projects, and I've stumbled every time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's almost there. The systems are in place to be there, but they're just these. And if I were a coder, I could look at the code version and say, okay, that's where the problem is. But I'm not a coder. I'm relying on the AI to do it. So in terms of what the program does, it takes you as far as the prototype. But we're getting close. And if this thing I'm researching later today is more reliable in also including the back end, then I will include that in the training.
Okay.
Well, I know we're close to that, which I just don't think
Yeah.
we're quite there yet.
And again, if you get it that far, there are plenty of other freelancers or other folks you can hand it over to
But
finish
also
that.
just the like, let's not minimize the value of what I can do now. Just
Yeah.
that prototype to be able to go to a client as a copywriter, like
Right.
before I was the agency, but as a copywriter, to build out that kind of prototype that looks like a finished homepage. And like I couldn't do that unless I hired a developer and a designer to do it for me. So the added value you bring to the table with the client simply by delivering that prototype. Now, when the time comes where we're very close, where you can actually launch it, the back end, the database, everything for a full working website or landing page or whatever, at that point, now we're talking about some big extra bucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're no longer, you're longer just doing the prototype. You're giving them the finished thing, which again, just 6 months ago, they would be paying tens of thousands of dollars for
Yes.
designers and developers to do.
Yeah. So
Crazy
excellent.
fun.
I think that's all of our questions. So Nick, I wanted to just talk about what happens between now and when the training actually starts. It's we have Paul. He's going to be there. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's exciting. So I know that you have some bonus material prepared for people, like a kind of a primer.
So some of it is still, if you go to your if you sign up, go to the dashboard, you'll see some bonus material is still being finalized. But the first one is the important one, where it is basically it's a tech stack fundamentals: how to use ChatGPT, how to use Claude, how to use Perplexity, things like that. So I would encourage you when you sign up, even before the training, go into the bonus session, grab that first one, There's some text, there's some short videos, but it'll just get you up to speed a little bit in time for the first session.
Yeah.
Which would be cool, because then I won't have to kind of go over that again.
Yeah.
The Facebook page is already live and there, but so jump in there. When you're signed up, you'll get a kind of code to go in and to let you into that private group. And that's where we'll be chatting and interacting and sharing stuff in between.
Yeah, but I highly, if you're not comfortable with any of the AIs, I would definitely do that bonus, because, you know, Nick, like you said, you're going to start having some fun with it on day one. Okay, well, I think we got all the questions answered, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do this, Nick, because again, we've been having this conversation, but there's nothing like being able to do this face to face and go deeper with the answers like you've so graciously done for us today. So thank you very much.
As you can tell, it's my pleasure. I'm excited about this stuff myself.
I know you are excited about it.
I don't like to teach stuff that I'm not excited about doing myself.
And it comes across, and the fact that you're going to be building your agency in front of everybody, that's like being a little bit on a tightrope. So that's going to be fun for everybody watching too.
And the live demos where I'll be humiliated by my bad typing.
We'll be nice. We'll be nice. I promise. I promise. All right, everybody. If you haven't checked out the letter from Rebecca, go to the link that you're going to see right there on your screen, www.awai.com/learn from Nick. And I have to tell you, learning from Nick is a privilege. It's a treat, and it's a value that you just can't get anywhere else. It's not like Nick is doing this anywhere else, or will do this one particularly again anytime soon. So this really is this moment in time. It's the perfect opportunity for this moment in time. So looking forward to seeing you all in the training.
Yes, please join us.
Okay. Bye, Nick. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.